This is way worse than we thought, as we have a new injury update for the Houston Texans, and this is going to have a drastic effect on what the Houston Texans offense looks like in their week 1 matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. So we're going to tell you all of the implications of what this injury means right here on Texans Digest. Hello everybody, I'm your host Donovan Ricondo, bringing you news for the second time today, and this is exactly why you subscribe to the channel, to give you and make sure you stay in the loop of all your Houston Texans updates, as we do right here in this video. Adam Schefter has tweeted out on Twitter earlier today, Texans wide receiver Christian Kirk has a strained hamstring that is expected to sideline him for at least Sunday's opener versus the Rams, and possibly longer, per sources. One source estimated to be a 2-week injury for Kirk, but the Texans will be, quote, cautious with him. And this is definitely some big news for the Houston Texans, specifically their offense, an offense that is heading into the 2025 NFL season, struggling, trying to figure out what its identity is. And it is already been, a little bit of an obstacle with the running back position, as we just discussed earlier today. Joe Mixon is out the first 4 games, and no clear person has made themselves to be that guy in the room. No one has shown that they absolutely want it and have proved that they are going to be the starter for week 1. And on the flip side of that, on the wide receiver end, we are missing Christian Kirk, who we recently signed in March. And this is not great for the Texans offense to start off this season. To hear that Christian Kirk, working out all off season, and then finally has this strained hamstring is just detrimental to, the morale of this team, as it is now going to be down to some of these guys that we just acquired, like the Iowa State wide receivers that we just added this offseason in the NFL draft. So this could be an opportunity for them. But the reason why you get Christian Kirk and why you acquire him throughout the offseason is to have him be that veteran guy and to help DeMeco Collins in this wide receiver room. We want more experience. We want the veteran leadership, but now he is going to miss for sure the first game of the season, and it said possibly longer. This was looking to be a 2-week injury, which is not great considering just the availability and how much it means for this team right now to have consistency at its positions. And so overall, not good for the Houston Texans. Hopefully it could just be a 1-week thing. Of course, the Texans are going to be cautious. They don't want to aggravate the injury and make this longer than it has to be. So on some level, there's a bright side of just trying to make sure that everything is okay with this hamstring. But it is just, quite frankly, not great to hear if you're a Texans fan. And Christian Kirk was out of practice earlier today, which kind of fueled the speculation, which is now made official. Braxton Berrios, our other wide receiver, was out of practice on Thursday and is also not expected to play this Sunday as well. So that's already 2 wide receivers not in the mix for this Sunday. If they can't go, of course, the Texans will likely have big rows for both 2nd-round pick Jalen Higgins and 3rd-round pick Jalen Noel, alongside DeMeco Collins, Xavier Hutchinson, and Justin Watson are other wideouts in Houston. But once again, this is a great news in terms of Jalen Higgins and for Jalen Noel to get some, playing time, to kind of see what their roles are and to have a bigger role as rookies. But at the same time, I would have loved to have Christian Kirk out there and playing for the team this week 1 matchup against a very, very good Los Angeles Rams team. Now, like I said before in an earlier video, the Rams struggled defensively last season. Now, will that be the case for them this season? I don't know. We haven't played a game yet. But if last year is any indication, right, they were not very good at defending the rush, and they were not very good at defending the pass. A little bit better, but not as bad as the rush. So if there's any team that you would want to play that is a struggling defense, this is one of those teams, right? So that is a good thing for the Texans. That's a brighter way to interpret this news. Again, it's still going to be a very competitive matchup. These are 2 teams looking to kind of put themselves into the mix of teams that are actual serious contenders for a championship this season, whether or not that is realistic or not. But these teams are both something to prove in week 1. Of course, go over there in Los Angeles is where the game is played. And so lots to be had. And I want to take a look at Kirk's stats for last season to give you an indication of what we are missing. He did not play many games last season. He was dealing with an injury, but he had played in 8 games, 47 targets, 27 receptions, only had 1 touchdown on the year. So not the most impressive stats considering what he has been known for. You kind of have to go all the way back to, the 2022 NFL season where he was an absolute stud for the Jacksonville Jaguars, playing in all 17 games and having over 1,000 yards, receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns. And since that season, he's been dealing with injuries, right? He missed 5 games in 2023. He missed 9 games in 2024. And so he's trying to get back onto where he was just 3 years ago. But this certainly is not a good sign for Christian Kirk. I wish him a speedy recovery. I do agree with the Texans in the fact of being cautious with him. We don't want to lose him for more time than we have to, right? And so I do think that is a smart decision, albeit right now it definitely stings, right? I would have loved to see him already in this wide receiver mix, right, with a new offense and absolutely new everything. But unfortunately, that just isn't the case. Now, and also, unfortunately, furthermore, what this means for the team in general, because we have a new offensive coordinator in Nick Caley, and these things take time, right? To see how your offense feels and how it functions, it's going to take time. And so this injury to me is just going to make that process a little bit longer. And I wonder if that is going to have an effect on the overall record for this team, right? Of course, we do not play in a very competitive division. It's not going to take an extraordinary record to win the division. But is it going to have an effect on what the end playoff seedings will be, right? We've been consistently a 4 seed as long as we've been AFC South champions. But at the same time, is that going to have an effect? Is that going to tip us in a direction that we cannot come back from? That is the question with this injury. I firmly believe that they can pull out a win in week 1, but there's just so many question marks around this team offensively right now. Defensively, things are looking great. I love our defense. There's great news regarding Gardner Johnson's injury, not as bad as we expected. But in terms of offense, this team is an absolute question mark. And we are going to see exactly how good Nick Caley is and why exactly we hired him this offseason. I am excited to see what kind of offense he has inputted into this system. CJ Stroud was certainly excited about it, talking about that about a week ago. But again, one giant question mark. And so on Sunday, we're going to figure out whether or not this team is not necessarily ready for that because we have so many injuries right now, but at the same time, just to see, where we are compared to a team who is pretty solid, right? The Los Angeles Rams probably going to be a playoff team this season. And so we are going to see exactly how we stack up against a good team as of right now. So that was this week one matchup is going to be a huge measuring stick of how good this team is and see where we can improve upon from there, even if we do lose this Sunday. But hopefully everything turns out right. Hopefully Christian Kirk has a speedy recovery. Thinking about what we can do with him once he returns to this roster, to this lineup is exciting, but at the same time, unfortunate that he'll be missing the first week 1 matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. But let me know in the comments what you think about this injury, how you think this will affect the team this Sunday. Again, I think those Iowa State wide receivers, Noel and Higgins, have a tremendous opportunity here to do some damage and prove why they were chosen back-to-back rounds by the Houston Texans, because they are very, very talented. And I know for a fact, watching those Iowa State games last season, that they have what it takes to be very, very successful in the NFL. And I'm glad that they're doing it on the same team with us, the Houston Texans. So this is a tremendous opportunity to get some more plays, get some in on some of the action. And so kudos to them. Have a great Sunday, as they are probably going to have more of a higher snap count. So hopefully they can pull out some good things and prove why they are who they are, 2nd and 3rd round draft picks for the Houston Texans. And so let me know in the comments what you think, other implications that I might have missed. This has been another episode of Texans Digest. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, hit that subscribe button if you like what you're watching. If you are a diehard Texans fan and you want to stay up to date, this is the channel for you. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining in. We'll see you on the next one. Adios.